How's it going, everybody? It's Raine again from Initiative Tabletop. Today we're going to take a look at a game that's somewhat older. It's called Cadwallon, City of Thieves, or just City of Thieves for short. It's a game from Fantasy Flight that came out in 2011, and though it went out of print for some time, it's back, and you can get it at some local game shops. Probably it's going to be easier for you to find it online. But anyway, City of Thieves is a board game that has miniatures in which the players will play as a guild of thieves. It's for up to 4 different players. Each player will control 4 different thieves, and your goal is to go through the town and open up treasure boxes without alerting the guards, combating other players to make sure that they don't stop you in your quest, and making it out of the city before the guards come and the alarm sounds, and the player with the most treasure, once they make it out of the city, wins. So, as you can see, the art on the box is some of the best I've seen, actually, in board games. I love the art that comes with the Cadwallon games. And so, without further ado, let's open this up, get it to the table, and see what it looks like. Alright, so we've gotten City of Thieves out of the box and onto the table. Now, the basic premise of City of Thieves is, like I said, you're going to be playing a group of 4 thieves that represent a guild, and their goal is to move about this city here and take these treasures that are in these boxes. And you want to make it out of the city with the most treasure at the end of the game. Now, something that's really cool is that Fantasy Flight included these little scenario cards that will change each time you play the game, and you can choose different ones, and this is what helps the longevity of the game. And for instance, for this setup, we're going to be doing the first one, which is the Treasure of the Duke, and each one of these is going to have a different condition on it, as well as these little mission cards that are played out. And basically the mission cards are just, if you happen to pick up that sort of treasure that's on the mission card, then you, for instance, this one is, for every bracelet you have, you get +2 ducats for it. And in case you didn't know, these right here are ducats. They're in different denominations. I think it's 1, 5, and 10. 1 is the bronze, 5 is the silver, and 10 is the gold. But basically, if you at any time have these, you can cash in your treasure to get one of these cards, and then it'll help you at the end of the game. But for this one, it follows the basic rules of the game, and the only difference is that you can steal money from the treasury, which is located here in the middle of the board. And as long as you have these certain items that are listed, you can do that. But before we get any further, let's just explain how this works. On your turn, you are going to spend these. I know these look a little weird, but they're action tokens. And you are going to spend them to make your guys move. And this is one of my favorite parts about this game, are the miniatures. These guys look brilliant, and they're really nicely crafted. They come with these colored bases, because the colored bases match the cards. And you can see I'm playing the yellow guild. I forget what they're called, but they have this huge brute, and so they have the colored bases to go with them. And also on these cards, you're going to notice over here, let me see if I can get this right, but over here, you're going to see a top stat, which is a fist, which is combat. The second one is an arrow, which is movement. And the third one is mind. And mind comes in when you're unlocking these chests. Something else that I forgot to put on the board are these little guys. They are basically the guards. And they start on the board, and what the guards are going to do is they're going to patrol the city and look for you. And if they meet your guys, if they ever enter a space where one of your guys is, they immediately fight you. But let's get into what you can do on your turn. So you basically, on your turn, can activate as many of your guys as you have these action tokens. Now, doing something with them spends an action token. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to move my big guy here. What I would do is I would spend an action token and say he's going to move up to his full movement, which is 4 spaces. So I'm going to move him 1, 2, 3. Now I'm in the room with a treasure chest. I can then spend another action token for him to try and unlock it. And what I have to do is I have to roll a die and get lower than or equal to his mind score to unlock it. So one thing that I did have a little pet peeve about with this game is that there are a lot of different people that you can play as. I mean, each guild is comprised of 4 different dudes basically, but they all have the same stats. So no matter who you're running, if I was playing the red guild or the yellow guild or the blue guild, it wouldn't matter because they all have the same stats. So even though this big guy, you can obviously tell he's excelled at fighting. He's going to roll a die, and I got a 4, so I cracked the chest basically. And on the other side of the chest, it's going to be a little symbol. This one is a bracelet, and it says that if I get 1 bracelet, it's worth 2 ducats, 2 is worth 5, and 3 is worth 8. And when one of your thieves unlocks a chest, you simply put that token on their card. Now, your thieves can only carry up to 4 pieces of treasure at once. Any more than that, then they have to basically drop a piece to pick up a piece. Before you actually move any of your guys on your turn, the guards are going to activate. And you do this simply by selecting the guard that you want to activate. Then you're going to roll a die, because their movement is indicated by a die roll. At least these two, for the purpose of this setup. So I'm going to move this one. I will roll a die, and he's only going to move 1 space. So I'll normally want to move him closer to my enemies, so that way they'll have to deal with him. Now, on the instance that you roll a 6, whenever you're moving the guards, they basically are asleep for this round, and they don't do anything. So they don't move or anything like that. But anyway, so we went ahead and moved the guards, and then we moved our guy. He unlocked the chest, and then we can spend our other action points however we see fit. We can have our other guys move, they can unlock chests, and let's say that you get into a room, let's say that he didn't unlock this successfully. What I can do is I can spend 2 of my action points to basically bust the chest open. He's just all brawn, I'm going to headbutt it, take whatever's in it, and then he gets the treasure. Once you're done spending your action points, all your turn is over with. Then your opponent may go. It follows the same rule set. They move the guards, they move their guys, but once they are done moving all of their guys, and you have moved all of yours, the round moves up. And in this special scenario that we're playing, once the round marker makes it to the 5th space on the scenario board, the alarm sounds. Then you take what these are called portcullises, or I just call them gates. Then, once the alarm sounds, you put these, starting with each player, you set 1, and then the other player sets 1 around the exits on the board, which these exits are just shown. You can see them around the board, as long as there's not a character there. So you go around placing these portcullises. Any spots that are left open are ways for your people to get out of the city. Basically, they leave the district. And they're going to be packing all this treasure and all sorts of stuff. So the goal, once the alarm sounds, is to make it out. If the round marker, or when the round marker makes it to the end of the game, if you have anybody that is still in the city, they're automatically captured. And none of their treasure matters, and they don't count towards your end-game victory or your end-game score. One last thing that I want to go over actually are these special Arcana cards that you get at the beginning of the game, and you also draw one on your turn. Now, these do a lot of different things. They help you with stuff like, for instance, this one is Run. Run will allow you to move extra spaces during your movement. Critical Hit, you play this before any combat, and the person who played this rolls an extra combat die. And since we're talking about combat, let's look at that. That's something that we need to get into before we get to the end of this. If at any time I move into a space with a guard, or a guard moves into a space with you, or heck, if another person moves into your space, you immediately combat. And the way this works is very simple. You take a total number of die equal to your combat score, which for everybody is 2, and you roll them. Then your opponent does the same thing. You compare the 2 highest die, and the person with the higher die wins. If you are the winner, you steal a treasure from an opponent's thief, and if they don't have treasure, then you steal ducats. And if you win against a guard, you just move them. And what happens is whoever loses the battle, whether it be the defender or the attacker, the winner of the battle chooses how they move, because then they have to retreat back 3 spaces. So let's say that I lost against this guard. Well, whoever was controlling the guard on that turn would choose to move me back 3 spaces wherever they wish. And that's a little bit about combat. But that's the Arcana cards. They really help liven up the game. And you're going to basically go around just trying to get all the treasure that you can, and then get out of the city as soon as that alarm sounds, and you total up your treasure, see what the ducats are worth, and the person with the most money in their bags is going to be the winner. Well, there you have it. City of Thieves is most definitely one of those games that I feel like is really daunting when you're setting it up. It looks like there's a lot of pieces to it. You got to get them to the board in a certain way, but it's really, really intimidating, I feel like, in the beginning, but once you start playing it, it is easy to get through. You move around effortlessly, you'll figure out how to place your action tokens, which guys to move, which guys to not, how to combat, who to combat, and it'll flow really nicely once you get into it. So don't let the setup hold you back. Also, the scenario boards, I feel like, are a really, really great integration to the game, because it helps keep the longevity of the game going. There are different scenarios for different things. Your rules are going to change, your special setups are going to change, you're going to be able to do a lot of different stuff in each scenario, which is going to help, especially when you play with new players. But I like the way that the minis are sculpted. Really, really superb. We've even started painting ours, so I'm really excited for that. The only thing I really don't like about this game is just that each guild has the same stats, and when it comes to like combat and movement and stuff. Now, each character in the guild has a special ability. For instance, this guy here, his ability is that during combat, he can re-roll 1 die. There are others that say whenever they have a successful combat during another player or another character, they steal an additional treasure. Or this person may move through walls as though they weren't there. So that kind of helps a little bit determining which guild to play. But there's a lot of fluff on the guilds. The developers really took the time to go into Cadwallon and get a lot of lore for you. So if you're a person that likes that about games, this is a really good choice for you. But if you're looking for something that's really quick to get to the table, it's quick to play, get back in the box, or just a game to get your friends into it, City of Thieves is a really good game for that. It definitely gets my vote. I'm glad that I bought it, and if you can find it somewhere, don't pass it up. You'll regret it if you do. But thanks for checking out this review, and you know where to stick for more. We'll see you next time.